All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. As we're inching our way through the day here, it's been kind of a rough one. It's no bueno, they say. We've had some red on the screen. Why don't we take a look and see if it's gotten any worse or better? That's what I'm here for, to walk us through that. Let's take a look at corn. I'll bring out the corn board up. And it's gotten better. There you go. We've come back a little bit. We're trying to fight back to that unchanged line. 447.5 is last in March. That's just down 3 ticks, 3/4 of a cent. And it's only half cent off the high of the day, right? So we actually had a gap lower a little bit there, it looks like. May down a half cent to 458. So that's getting a little bit better. How about soybeans? Well, they're getting a little bit better too. We're well off the lows now. 1213.5 is last in March, right? That's I'm going to call that 10 and 3/4 cents off the lows. That's pretty good, and we're only about 8 cents from the highs. So arguably we're in the middle of the day's range, but we have come back from the brink of that $12 line. 8.5 cents lower in March, 1213 and 3/4 is last. 9 cents lower in the May to 1223 and 3/4. Let's take a look at new crop. What's that got in store for us? Bring that one up. That's a big chart, so it's heavy. 7.5 cents lower there to 11.92 1/4. That's come back a little bit too. We were off about 1%. Now we're only off about 0.6. Let's move on to the wheat in Chicago. Chicago wheat. That's going to be, here we go. We got some green on the screens. Everybody take a deep breath. 2 1/4 cents higher in the March, 597.5 last. And ding, 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 that's a new high. We just ticked off of it to 597 1/4, but we'll take it. That's a 2 cent higher board. May's up 3/4 of a cent to 606. We're still trying to drag the deferreds with us. They're unchanged all the way out to September. From Chicago wheat, let's go to the let's go to the Kansas City, hard red. This is a lot better too. We're only off a tick in the front month March, 621 3/4. I'm smelling some strength here, folks. We're only a penny and a half off the highs there. We're 3/4 of a cent lower in the May to 619.5, and that too is just off of the highs as well. This is the spring wheat in Minneapolis after we look at the Kansas City market. This one's actually higher in the front month, 1/4 cent higher, 692.5 as we find some life in the wheat markets. That's not bad. That's only a penny off the high there. May's now still down a half cent, but 697.5 is last, and that also is a half cent from the high, which is also unchanged on the day. All right, what about cotton? We'll get to our guest analyst. Cotton is up 81 points to 85.98. That hasn't changed. That's 36 points from the high of the day. And let's bring in Ted Seifried, Zaner Ag Hedge. Ted's going to take it away. Am I smelling a little strength all of a sudden? What's going on?
Yeah, Scott. Look at the last 3 days where we've been under pressure to start with, and then we kind of drift back towards unchanged, or maybe even close positive on today in the case of soybeans. We had that, the big reversal hires across the board on Tuesday. Turnaround Tuesday was an epic turnaround Tuesday. So you've got some rather positive price action happening here. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily a big shift in overall fundamentals. I'm not really buying into the idea that, the Argentinian crop is toast. I kind of think that a little period of warmer and drier for them is maybe not a bad thing. You look at the 8 to 10 day forecast, there's more rain coming in. Yeah, maybe it kind of stifles the overall yield potential a little bit, but their yield potential was looking up anyways. I mean, all of our estimates were going up for Argentina, and maybe that stops happening, but either way, much better crop than last year, very likely, massive rebound. So, yeah, it's good to see the positive price action. We had gotten very oversold, okay. I'm going to pick on wheat here really quickly. Man, wheat has been absolutely sideways since the end of September. If you look at the average price of wheat since the end of September, this is March Chicago, it's right around 601 3/4. And where are we now, Scott? 601 1/4, 597.5. I mean, we are just pivoting on both sides of this $6 market. And we've been doing it for a long period of time. So maybe this is an extended base that we're putting in for wheat. And then lastly, soybeans, export sales, got to touch on that really quickly. Great number for corn, really good number for soybean meal, which has been the shining star here the last 3 days. But the disappointment was soybeans. What was it, 165,000 metric tons sold last week. Mm-hmm. That's not good for this time of year. And there was 407,000 reductions for unknown destinations. Yes, by the way, that's unknown destination sales getting allocated. It's not a cancellation, but the trade kind of sees that as it. Either way, however you want to look at it, Scott, 165,000 metric tons of soybeans at this time of year, based on concerns for Brazil, now concerns for Argentina, it's just not going to cut it.
I agree. And the dollar has gotten stronger in our face today as well. All right, stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Ted Seifried. He's with Zaner Ag Hedge in Chicago. We'll be right back. All right, let's talk about the livestock. Can't wear a cow jacket and not, right? Let's bring up Live cattle, and they're doing okay today, up $1.32, 178.67. That's only a dime, well, 7 cents off the highs, we'll call it. Pretty good, though. April's up 87 cents to 181.57. How about we take a quick peek at feeders, and we're going to get back to our guest analyst in a heartbeat here. $3.50 higher in the March. That's pretty good going. 243.65 is last, just a tick off the highs. April's up $3.20 to 249.35, and that's 15 cents off the highs there. And then finally, lean hogs, we're trying to play along. Let's see if they are. No. They've given up that ghost. Feb's down 7 cents, 3 ticks. To 76.27. There's not a lot going on. 97 cents lower in the April to 83.85. Let's bring back in Ted Seifried, Zaner Ag Hedge. All right, Ted, anything to say about that report in the livestock here today?
Not really so much about the report, Scott. I'm looking at livestock from more of a technical standpoint at the moment because, you've got feeder cattle trading the highest level that we've been in since November 3rd. And if you remember what was going on at the time, that was in the middle of our epic sell-off that we had since the end of September.
Yep.
And that was sort of the bounce hype, which ended up being sort of the mid-level of the overall downside move. So we've had about a 50% retracement off of the lows. Again, it still stands as a V bottom, which normally I'd feel uncomfortable with, but I continue to say that livestock's pretty much the livestock sector are pretty much the only markets where I trust a V bottom. I still think there's more upside potential. You have seasonals kicking in for higher starting today, actually. So I think there's a lot of good-looking things. We know we don't have a whole lot of animals out there. We know that domestic demand stays strong. Export demand has actually been okay. Again, feeders are the leaders. They look good. All good things. And then for hogs, you're right. Really kind of quiet, sort of consolidative day. But after multiple days in a row for hogs and coming up to that 200-day moving average, we're basically hugging it here today, Scott. We're taking a pause at a very key technical point. Could we be due for a little bit of a pullback? Could we see sort of a little bit of a short-term technical correction? Sure. But otherwise, that chart looks really good. Looks like we have a solid bottom in there that we put in from the end of November to the beginning of the calendar year, January, first couple trading days in January. We've kind of shrugged off the whole California thing that we've known about for months and months. And I think there's more upside potential across the board in livestock. And I'm also going to say I think that comes with downside potential in corn, but
We'll see. You're not the first one to say that, by the way. All right, great stuff as usual. Super content. Thanks for being on the show. That's Ted Seifried, Zaner Ag Hedge in Chicago. We'll bring it back here to Music Row in Nashville.